Hey everybody, what's up? My name's Jack Hammer. I'm the owner of Viper Powder Coating, and welcome to Viper Powder Coating's YouTube channel. In this episode, we're going to restore a fire truck in the snake pit. And here you go. Yeah, it's not a deranged alien autopsy or Grey's Anatomy for a pedal car. This car has 3 different colors on it. It's got red, it has white parts, and a little bit of silver. I tend to attack these things one color at a time when I'm doing different colors. I'm going to show you how to do a little bit of paint stripping that you could do at home. It's going to be a little bit different than what I do here because this is a business and we have industrial grade strippers, but there are over-the-counter things that you can use to do this at home. Okay, so we have the pan all set up. First thing you're going to do, get your gloves on. Okay, then take your part. I gave this a little bit of a wash. I hope that's in frame there. And we have a sheet of plastic wrap stretched out in the pan, and we're going to put our part on the sheet of plastic wrap, and I'll show you why. So now what you're going to do is you're going to take your paint stripper, follow the instructions on the can. I even have the back door of the shop opened up just to ventilate the shop, and I've got a little fan going. You can't hear it, but it's running back there. And you want to shake up the paint stripper, which I've already done. And now you can see the part is a little bit different because I gave it a quick wash off, because you really don't want anything to come between the paint stripper and the paint you're trying to get off. Don't be cheap with the paint stripper. Pour it on there. Get it in there. Now this is supposed to work in as little as 15 minutes. So we're going to get plenty of paint stripper on there. And then what you're going to do is, let me put the cap on this, is you're going to grab something called a chip brush. It's a little tiny cheap paintbrush. You might find these, see these at like Lowe's, Home Depot, even Harbor Freight has them. And you're going to take the chip brush and you're going to start covering the part with your paint stripper. Now, if you're going to do big parts, I don't know, maybe you've got one of these cars yourself. I've seen a ton of Tonka truck videos that guys are restoring them. They spend a lot of time in the blast cabinet getting all of that old paint and stuff off. So my idea is always kind of work smarter, not harder, and kind of let the paint stripper do the bulk of the work for you. Now, you may not get 100% of this off, but you're going to get a significant amount of it off. Now, you're going to take the part, you're going to flip it over, keeping it on the plastic. We're going to take a little bit more paint stripper. We're going to pour it in there. Get the paint stripper on there. Now, this paint stripper that you buy over the counter no longer contains the chemical methylene chloride. That kind of stripper is only available to businesses that, has a business license to actually use that kind of a stripper. The consumer grade stuff, I've heard a lot of mixed reviews on it. This is actually the first time I'm actually using this product myself. So we're going to find out together how well it works. So you want to take the paint stripper, make sure you get good coverage over everything, get it all over. And it's good if it's actually pooling up and it's a little bit thick, because that's going to give you more to kind of move around. It's better than having to keep pouring this stuff on there. Get a good coverage. That looks pretty good. Okay, now the plastic. We're going to take our plastic wrap and we're going to seal up the paint stripper and the part. A lot of mistakes that gets made with paint strippers is that it's left to the open air. You don't want that, because that's what dries out the the paint stripper. You want it to stay wet as long as possible so it can keep working and eating through the paint. Okay? So they say works in as little as 15 minutes. So we're going to put 15 minutes up on the clock and we'll give it a shot. See you in 15 minutes. Okay, while we're waiting for the paint stripper to do its thing for its 15 minutes, I figured I would show you the wheels. Check it out. Yeah, this thing's pretty hammered, man. This is the hubcap for the wheel. Now there's only 6 little tabs that you actually bend over. You got to be careful though, you don't want to snap them off. You bend those 6 tabs over and it will reveal the hub section and we'll take the hubcap off. So we'll put that aside. Now I've already taken this apart obviously and I marked this one RR and that stands for right rear. Because I want to put the wheels back where they actually came off of. Now before you do any paint stripping on this, these tires have to come off. Okay, so these are, you can see, these things are pretty old and they pretty much fall apart in your hand. But let me see if I can get you to see what I'm seeing right here. Right here, this is a metal band that runs through the tire. Okay, so you just can't slice through it and take the whole tire off. Break off enough of the rubber with, you know, a pair of pliers or something like that. And then what you're going to do is get a pair of these, a pair of side cutters, and you're going to go in here and you're going to cut that metal right off. There you go. Now you can see when that band popped, that tire just came right off. Now some of the AMF pedal cars from the videos that I've seen on YouTube, they don't have this band that goes through the center, and I saw a guy actually cut right through it with a knife. But there you go. So now that the tire is off, you're going to discard this because I've already got new tires on order that will be here for this rim. Now we're ready to start attacking the wheels. Okay, so we've already prepped the rim. We cut the tire off of it. Now we have to deal with this rust. There's a couple of different ways. Look how nice and clean that is on the inside. I have not touched that at all. That's been sitting that way for almost 70 years. It's a testament to the kind of materials that they used back in the day. Check that out. But it's rusty outside. Now there's a couple of different ways you can go about it. If you have a media blaster, again, you could just start blasting on it, or you could use a chemical to get rid of the rust that's on there before you put paint stripper on there. I'm really not certain that paint stripper is going to work on rust like that. So what I use on really rusted stuff is another acid that you can buy at your home improvement store. It's called muriatic acid. Basically like a concrete cleaner and things of that nature. People use it. You could buy it in the big box stores. You could buy it at a hardware store. But again, you have to be in an extremely well-ventilated area. My entire shop is open, wide open, because I don't want to be smelling this stuff. And actually, I even own a respirator that when I am working with acids, I do wear my respirator. I'm just not wearing it right now for the purpose of the video. You wouldn't hear me. And you wouldn't understand a word I was saying. So what we're going to do, all right, let's take some of the muriatic acid. This is just a really inexpensive paint cup that you could buy at the big box stores, and you probably guessed where I got that one from. But they're not paying me for advertising, so you'll just have to figure it out. We're going to take some muriatic acid, and we are going to pour it into the cup. You only need a little bit, about halfway up the cup. Make sure you cap off any acids that you use. You don't want to be breathing this stuff. There's a couple of different ways you can go about this. You could just kind of drop it in there, and you can get it out with a magnet. So what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of gently, don't plop it in there. We're just going to kind of gently drop it in. And we're going to give this a few minutes to soak. And we're going to let the muriatic acid do its thing. We'll give this 15 minutes too. But while this is soaking, we're going to go get the wheel that we put the paint stripper on. We're going to bring that back and see what happened in its 15 minutes. Okay, so it's been a little over 15 minutes right about now. Not quite 20, but it is definitely a little over 15. Let's take our plastic wrap off. And now is the time when you're going to need that little scrub brush that I was telling you about. I'm going to take the scrub brush. I can already see that some of the paint here and here is starting to lift off. So 15 minutes, it's not an exact time. It's not a precise time. Just the time they give you in as little as. It depends really on how many coats of paint you got on here and what type of paint. If you use this kind of stripper on powder coating, you're going to be at it forever because powder coating is extremely durable stuff. So we're going to go to our little scrub brush. Now this brush, let me give you a good shot of it. This brush here has got a little brush that sticks off the end. And that's what I'm going to just use as a test to see if this paint stripper is actually working. So we're going to scrub it. And if you see with a little bit of scrubbing, and you want to do this gently, you don't want this stuff flying all over the place, getting on your skin. I have safety glasses on right now, because you don't want this getting in your face or, God forbid, your eyes. You could lose your eyesight. It's not worth it. Okay, so we're in this little area. I can already tell that this paint stripper is going to need a little bit more time. But just scrubbing for that little bit of time right there. I have a dirty paper towel here, but it'll serve the purpose. And we're going to rub. And look, it actually took the paint off. I'm not kidding. Here, there you go. You could see it. It took the paint off that little spot. Now, it required a little bit of scrubbing on my part, but that's a whole lot better than spending, I don't know, a half an hour, maybe even an hour blasting this in a blast cabinet. Use your time productively. Have this soaking, if you will, and then do something else. Get your project. Keep it going. All right, so I can already tell that this is going to require a little bit more time. I'm going to take my chip brush, and I'm going to take a little bit of the paint stripper that's here, and I'm going to put it back in this area. Because remember, we used enough paint stripper to really get a good wet coat on this. So we're going to go ahead and cover this thing back up. And I'm actually going to give this probably about a half an hour, maybe even an hour with it sealed in plastic. Because, again, you could see the paint stripper is not dried up at all. So that's really what you want to do, is you want to keep that paint stripper wet. And when that paint stripper is wet, that's definitely going to do the work for you. Okay, so we'll leave this about a half an hour and then we'll come back and check on it. In the meantime, I put some parts into my paint stripper and I'm going to show you the difference. Now, these are parts that I put into my paint stripper, and as you can see, these are chemical gloves. You really need to be protected with this stuff. Again, I should be wearing a respirator, but you would never hear a thing I was saying. So now, these have only been in here for roughly 5 minutes. And you can see just exactly what has happened. The paint is hanging off. It's completely bubbled up. I'm going to see, let me take this glove off. Let me see if I could zoom in a little bit. And you can see the paint is just, this stuff, I could probably take a rag and just wipe it right off. This is one of the ladder uprights that was on the fire truck. So there is a major difference when you use chemicals to help you take paint off versus just mechanical methods like sanding or sandblasting. Okay, we're back at the tabletop. Remember that hubcap that we put in the muriatic acid? It's been about 15 or 20 minutes now. Let me let you take a look at this. That rusty hubcap is now this. Pretty amazing stuff. It even took off some of the paint that started to come off. You could still see shades of primer on there, but that's going to be a lot easier to media blast. And in some cases, you may have to sand this if you're either going to paint it or powder coat it. But muriatic acid is pretty amazing stuff. This is kind of a before and after. You can clearly see the Murray logo in the middle of the hubcap is what we're going for. Now, like I said, these things still have to be sanded. In your case, maybe you have a media blaster, but it's got to go in for media blast. Now, we've used paint stripper and we've used muriatic acid. You really need to be in a well-ventilated area, preferably outside if the weather permits for you to do this. But if you're working in your garage, Make sure to have the doors open, have a fan going, have air circulating, and you should be wearing a respirator. Not a particle mask, an actual respirator that filters out fumes, because you really, really, really need to be careful of what you're breathing. And that's a wrap for episode 1 of The Snake Pit. You didn't think we were going to get the whole thing finished in one episode, did you? No, it's a full restoration. I'm going to show you how I do it from start to finish, so hang in there. I hope you got something out of the video. So if you did, please leave a like, a comment, subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out. It helps the channel grow, bring you bigger and better things. But before I go, there's other YouTubers out there that I really want to thank for their inspiration and motivation for me to even get this channel going. First one, if it wasn't for this man, I would have never started powder coating to begin with. Niemela. Cameron, the work you do with motorcycles is unbelievable. You got a great personal story, and I urge everyone to check your page out. And man, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so very much, because if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't even be here. For a master metal worker, you want to go to Trev's blog. Trev, all the way over in the UK, does stuff with sheet metal that would blow your mind. And if you love old cars and old restorations, Trev's your man. Trev, thank you so much, man. From all the way over in the UK, you've been such a cheerleader of mine and a big motivator for me to get this channel going. Trev, thank you so very much. And for some great powder coating, check out Unknown Coatings. Sean, man, oh man, I don't even know what to say to you, man. Emails back and forth, messages. You got me out of some jams that I would have gotten myself into for sure. And if it wasn't for you, man, I don't know what I would have done. So Sean, thank you, man. You're a gentleman, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart. So everyone, make sure to check out Unknown Coatings. Well, that's a wrap. Everybody take care, be well. We'll be back shortly with episode 2 of The Snake Pit. Bye-bye.